This is the juvenile tyrannosaur. Almost 2 years of age, she was brought here several months ago. Oh, understood. The lab wanted... And there they go, crashing through the jungle like nobody's business. The adult is fiercely territorial and will not stand to have the juvenile encroach on her prey. Chief Veterinarian Jerry Harding's daughter is an experienced field biologist, and she was called in to assess the Rexes before it was decided that the two share this enclosure. She was adamant that, contrary to common assumption, Rexes are attentive and protective parents. I, however, do not think that extends to an adult Rex adopting a foreign juvenile. Unfortunately, I don't see any way these two can coexist in the same enclosure. But they are the rock star attraction here, so it should go without saying that the needs of the animals once again take a back seat to making profits. Anyway, I need to head back before this storm gets worse. Tell me the exact number.
It's S/E/08.
Yeah, I'm on the east perimeter now. Is it freestanding or mounted in a tree somewhere?
I'm not sure, Muldoon. I think it's in a tree.
Oh. No, it's freestanding. Well, it was. Your motion sensor is now being flattened by a 20-ton sauropod.
Oh, man.
All right. Let me check this out. I'll call you back.
Thanks, Muldoon.
Jurassic Park has quite a sophisticated surveillance system, incorporating image recognition and motion sensors. That's how the total animal tallies are calculated. This is one of the motion sensors. Arnold immediately received an alert in the control room that one had gone offline. He radioed the maintenance crew, but they seem to be held up at the main road. So I've come here to see what happened to the sensor. Clearly, this big girl has decided to lay right on one. The issue with the cams and the sensors is there needs to be many of them to cover the expansive land area of each of the enclosures. And some are huge enclosures. But you don't want to litter them every few yards throughout the paddocks. That will cause them to be damaged by the animal's movements, and also take away from the intended natural aesthetic of the paddocks. So when you erect them on legs and plant them in an enclosure where you have 20-ton foot traffic, you get things like this. Normally I'd have Harding come see her, but my role here is to triage the concern, actually discover if there is a need for a vet. All right. An apatosaur's down on its side. First order of business. Confirm whether it's injured or simply resting. Animals that size don't lie prone unless there's cause. For animals that size, lying down could cause pressure on internal organs. Sudden pressure on the lungs from this posture can be dangerous. I'm watching the rise of the rib cage, slow but steady. Breathing appears normal. I'll approach from the front, where I'm in its line of sight. I'm looking for signs of trauma or dehydration. Scanning the flank now, no abrasions, no swelling, no indication of a fall. The soil's undisturbed around her, suggesting she settled here intentionally, and not from a fall, which is a relief. Skin tone is normal, all signs point to a relaxed, healthy animal. Apatosaurs will sometimes lie on their sides to relieve limb pressure or to doze during the hotter hours of the day. Not common, but not dangerous when the ground is level and the animal's in good condition. Apatosaurs are robust animals, but once they're grounded, it becomes a race against their own weight. The longer a sauropod stays on its side, the more strain builds on the heart and lungs. In this case, nothing to worry about. I'll keep a short watch and log the behavior for the vet team, but the animal's fine, just taking advantage of a quiet moment in the enclosure. And I'll check on them tomorrow, Robbie.
Yep. Hey, your girl's awake.
And here we go. Good morning, madam. Slept in, have you? She's freed the motion sensor, Arnold.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to reboot that one. Hold on to your butts.
Man, they're so majestic.
Imagine what our world was like 100 million years ago.
Muldoon, it worked. Just plant it back into the soil and we're good.
Okay, Robbie, get it done. And they're devastated. He was airlifted to Bahia Anasco, but Regis pronounced him dead before they could bring a stretcher over to the Rex paddock. 10,000 volts will drop a bull elephant, and it damn near cooked him where he stood. The current hit him square through the back of the neck and head, burned straight through the helmet, and left deep char marks, his muscles locked tight as a steel rod. I saw the entry burns plain as day. His body was smoking even after I arrived on scene, and that was a good 10 minutes later. One tug from that animal and he was yanked straight into the live wires. With the fence at full charge, the current went through him instantly. It stopped his heart. There wasn't a second of struggle after the jolt hit. Clean, immediate. A damned waste. But that's the truth of it. Around these paddocks, the animals aren't the only danger. The fences will finish the job just as quickly. How many times do I have to say it? Around these fences, one mistake is all it takes. I'm of two minds of this incident. Of course, that was a fellow human being with thoughts and aspirations, and I send my deepest condolences to his family. Yet clearly Gonzalez was lost in conversation with his friend. He's back to the paddock, he didn't even see his attacker. You can't turn your back on a predator ever. They sense it as a weakness, as an opportunity to strike. But that juvenile Rex is something else. She must be learning a thing or two about the fences from the Raptors. And speaking of the Raptors, we're due to transport them over to this pen any day now. I asked Hammond yesterday as to why we're bringing them over here anyway. His answer infuriated me. He said, and I quote, "It's classified." I had a good go at him after that. I'm sensing the scientists know something I don't about the Raptors. Don't get me wrong, if this pen increases safety, I'm all for it, which is why I'm out here tonight. The crew told me that the horticulture is finished and they wanted me to sign off on its completion. I can already see a problem, however. There's a lot of activity around here tonight. The rats and critters of the island are busy, I see. From a distance, it all looks tidy enough, but up close you can see the problem plain as day. These trees have branches that are sturdy enough to take a raptor's weight. Give them a few days to assess this pen and they'll be using those limbs like ladders. The service door in the ceiling may be 12 feet up, but that won't matter if they can climb most of the way up on their own. They're clever and they'll exploit anything that gives them leverage. If we're bringing them in here, all the plant species that sprawl horizontal branches need to be removed entirely. Otherwise, we're giving them a ready-made escape route. Simple miscalculation. One that cost lives. Anyway, here we are. Quiet as ever out here, first thing you notice. This corner of the park might as well be a world of its own. No tour outs, no engines, no shouting, just the wind cutting through the grass. Isolation has its advantages, and you can hear trouble long before it's on you. Makes the work cleaner, clearer. I come out here when I need to think. Control room is too loud, too many voices, too many opinions from people who've never had mud on their boots. This place is off limits to the scientists back in control. Not that any of them would be ballsy enough to trek out into the park on their own. They're brave behind glass and cameras. Out here's a different story. Hammond calls it secluded. I call it a blessing. Out here, the park almost feels gentle. Almost. Tranquil moments like these never last long, though. Right then, a home away from home. Modest little place, but it does the job. This outpost is my personal office. I share this space with Tony, our behavioral paleontologist. Sharp as they come, though he's got a knack for spreading papers everywhere. His time is spent between here and Site B. That's Tony's desk. Man's a genius, but he types like a woodpecker on caffeine. My cubicle's over here, nothing fancy. Field logs, radio, maps of the island. Everything I need. That cabinet, tranks, flares, shotguns. Tools you pray you won't need, but out here you're a fool if you don't keep them within arm's reach. There's the main stash in the garage, but I've also got supplies here. Place may be small, purpose-built, and it keeps the park at arm's length long enough for us to think. Not a bad perch for the start of the day. Good place for a proper drink, too. Away from the shenanigans or the computer scientists up at control. I enjoy the tropical nature of this island. Vastly different from the drier climate of Kenya, that's for sure. From here you can see half the bloody island. The patasaurs are up, moving like the whole world's on their schedule. And that was proven yesterday. Look at the size of that girl. Magnificent creatures. I can even peer into the T-Rex paddock from here. so close. The adult's up, bathing in the lagoon. She sometimes gets sick if she drinks from that lagoon. Not sure why exactly. Wonder if she ever got to that cow. Sometimes we'll put a prey item in here and they survive for a few days, especially the goats. Because they're smaller, they can hide in all sorts of places the adult Rex can't get to. Which is why we're testing using cows to feed the Rexes. But perhaps whatever animal is dropped into there should be tied or something, so that we can monitor the feeding patterns more closely. And here's yesterday's villain, the juvenile. Thought she'd be keeping to the back after what happened. That business with the workmen. Ugly bit of misjudgment on everyone's part. She was, however, only being an animal, a predator. Didn't understand the fence would finish the job. Best not dwell on it. She gets the short end of things in there. The adult takes nearly every prey item we drop in. Massive, dominant, always first to the kill. She leaves this youngster to scrape by on whatever slips through the fence. Rats, possums, anything foolish enough to wander in after dark. Still, she's learning, watching. I think she's come across something for breakfast right now. What the? That's a raptor!